How have you been anyway, mate? It's been so long since that
I
London
know,
show. It was crazy,
I
weren't
know, mate. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, I've been good, mate. Obviously, I wish I lived my life more like a professional athlete, and I didn't put so much weight on. That I'm having to kill myself more now. So the camp's not been as enjoyable just because of the fact that I've had to lose so much weight. To be fair, but I think I've learned from that mistake now, and after a win this next fight, I've just got to stay in the gym and stay active rather
you?
than going dormant.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to you, mate, it's about 6, 7 months ago now, isn't it? So it's a long time, and it's a big ask for you to keep that strict as well. Obviously, we've had Christmas and New Year as well, so
Yeah,
it
of
wasn't
course.
announced too long ago, was it? But yeah,
It
back
was,
in
yeah,
face of
yeah.
UK bare knuckle.
I know, I know. Well, you know what? It was they secured I think they secured a headline, a main event, and then I think they asked me to fight in South Carolina to fight a guy called Gogo Slaveski, who's just won the eliminator against a Cuban dude. And I was like, mate, you're telling me like New Year's Day that I've got 3 weeks, like that's a bit out of order. Do you know what I mean? Like, tell me. So then they were like, all right, and Sam. Then like they're doing like a Christmas special on the podcast, and they're like belling me up, like, oh, tell Connor to can he accept this fight to headline London? I'm like, I don't want to fight in London again. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't want to. Oh no, no, no. So I said it's for we had to negotiate back and forth. Anyway, they didn't announce it then, and I got back in touch and I said, look, I'll accept this figure for what it is, and it has to be for a total eliminator. And I was like, yeah, it will be. This will be like your number one contender spot. So, yeah, it's just been a bit of a mad one. Like it all came on so quick. I wasn't really in the gym doing much, and then I started to get in the gym. Then I agreed the fight, and all in all, mate, I've been in the gym about 9 weeks. So I've
Yeah,
had 5 months out the gym.
yeah.
It's mad. Yeah,
But you know you're not no shortage of inspiration and motivation for this. Like you said, title eliminator, and we when we last spoke, we spoke about Palomino. That's who you
yeah,
want. Um,
yeah,
Obviously not looking too far ahead, but there's even the possibility if you wanted to, you could potentially beat Palomino at welterweight and then drop down and try and get that lightweight belt and get two world
yeah.
titles.
I think to be fair, that all goes with now. Like I'm gonna do. I've never done a severe water cut to be fair, but I think I'm gonna have to try and do one. I'm gonna have to probably cut about £10 this time.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna see how it goes, and if I drop to like say if I get down to like 160, and I know that I haven't done a like you know what I mean, I know that I've been out a long time as well. I've had to like then I could probably think, you know what, I could probably make 155. But
Yeah,
yeah, personally, I wouldn't go up to 175 if I'd only drop down to 155. They're the two titles because 175, the monsters, man.
hmm.
Like you look at the, I mean, look at the size of Michael Venom Page getting down to 175.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I mean, they were
scary,
big
and
guys because I was one of my questions was going to be obviously you was co-main event of that card, MVP
yeah,
versus Mike Perry. I'd personally love to see you against Mike Perry at some point. I think
love to
stylistically
fight.
that would be
I get
awesome.
on. I get on with Mike. I speak to him now and then as well. He's a good guy, Mike. And he's got. I think he's got a bit of respect for me. I think when I posted that I was fighting Lyndsey, he tagged me and was like, "Oh, Connor's a cool guy. Looking forward to seeing it." That's the fight. Obviously, when I build my name up more, the more wins that come, and hopefully a title. That's the fight that I could probably entice into having because I'd love to see. Obviously, I feel like when Michael Venom Page fought him, he just never had the bare knuckle experience. I don't think he knew what to expect in that ring. I feel like I've got a lot of experience in bare knuckle now, so I feel like I mean, like if Michael Venom Page probably had the rematch, he'd probably win it. He'd win it because he knows the way to beat Mark Perry. But the way to beat the Mark Perry, you've just got to be on your feet. You've got to be light. You've got to catch him and not stand still because he likes to trade and he can bang as well. I know
Yeah,
from a few people that he can whack.
yeah.
So I think you just got to pick him off and box him, haven't you? Really, with Mike.
I
Good,
think
good.
you'd enjoy the sort of verbal warfare as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Like your mates, but he would bring it as
yeah.
well, even though that you're
It
friends.
would. It would. Mike's Mike. Like Mike's just a loose cat, like a loose cannon. He's like the type of guy that's like, like you'd be friends with him. Like when there's like the stuff he was saying about Michael Venom Page, like made me cry when he was like, "Your head's like a ball sack." I
Yeah,
was crying
he's
because I
crazy,
thought,
man.
mate, he's just mad. He brings a lot of draw, and Mike's a big name. I mean, you got to look at how big of a name Mike is when he's a backup for the Tommy Fury fight. Do you know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah,
Which, to be fair, if Jake Paul beats Fury, I'm pretty sure that the Mark Perry will fight would be after that.
Yeah,
Because Perry's still not like Yerike's a retired UFC fighter, but he's smashing it in bare knuckle.
yeah.
So that makes sense for Jake Paul, doesn't it?
It's more suited this sport and boxing as well. Those big boxing like Mike Perry, because he's the type of guy where people would just try and grapple him and take him to the ground because he's that wild on the feet and he's just looking for a bare knuckles. Just
He wants to ball.
100%.
It is a perfect sport for him. Perfect sport for him, but I mean, he's in a division full of monsters, mate. Proper monsters, and I don't know how he'll fare. In my opinion, if he wants half a chance of winning bouts and doing well, and he doesn't get fed the UFC names he wants, he needs to drop down to my weight, fight at 165. I think if he stays at 175, though, it's the sheer size of the opponents. Like, I mean, Mike's a small dude, man. He's up to like my chin.
Yeah.
And like these guys are big, like Francesco Ricky and that they're like 6'4" and they're massive when they're hydrated. And I'm not taking anything away from Mike, but I feel like he'd probably bode well, like better in a Diego Sanchez division, in my division with Trout on that. I feel like they're easier. Not me, but I feel like they're easier fights than some of the 175ers he's got to fight because they're big lads there. They come down from like 220. I come down from 190, 200. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think Mike would probably be much far off me, to be honest, because he's quite small, isn't he?
Yeah, that fight has to happen at some point. I know you mentioned London you're not so keen on, but we love that would sell out the Wembley Arena 100%.
Yeah.
Or even Birmingham. You know, I'm guessing that's what you want. You want to go down and sell out the arena in Birmingham.
It's St Andrews, and I've said it before, Birmingham, man. I said the best thing for me now is to win a world title and defend it at St Andrews. Like, we'd have to see how that gets on. I mean, I think it's possible. I really do think it's possible. Look, I've built connections. I know Ian Dutton, he's he's like the managing director. I feel like the right strings can be pulled and the right conversations can be had, and that's a massive possibility. And that'll probably do 10 to 15,000 tickets. Do you know what I mean? Because there's probably out of the 30, 40,000 Blues fans that, you know, okay, they don't fill the ground, but that still go to the ground when there's like attendances of 8 to 10,000. At least 70, 80% are gonna want to go. Then you'll have a stacked undercard, and you'll have people that don't go the Blues who'll just go to watch the fights. Like, it's a possibility it could over 10,000 now.
100%. I mean, it's such a rapidly growing sport as well, isn't it? Like it showed that last time in London. That was the first time that Bare Knuckle FC have come over. Just mentioning your opponent as well, Lyndsey. What do you make of what you've seen from him? And like you're an enigma in this sport. Like when that was the first Bare Knuckle event I'd covered. Back in last August, and what I'm used to seeing in Bare Knuckle is like what I saw at the weekend at Knucklemania, just like 2-minute scraps, just toe to toe. He was like dancing in there, just making Nelmo miss, making him punch wind. You come in there, out of there, absolutely unscathed. Do you think that Lyndsey's faced anyone like that before?
No, and the same goes for me. I haven't fought anyone like Lyndsey. I think we've both had lots smaller fighters who are stockier, shorter reach that have had to work in, and we've worked well because we're both long and we're both tall. So I think, to be honest, with Lyndsey, do you know what this one? Like, someone came up to me the other day. I said, "You haven't posted a lot. You haven't done like any smack talking at." And I said, "You know what?" I said, "Honestly, I've had a hard camp, and I'm not focused on beating him. Like, I don't have to hype this fight up. Like with the Venom Page card, I was co-main, wasn't I? So I wanted to steal a bit of attention from the fans. I don't need to do that now. I'm the main event, you know what I mean? And I'm preaching to the choir, really, because there aren't many other people that are coming from other sports eyes to watch this. Only the people that know of me and know of BKFC. So in terms of like how to, like with my boxing as well, bringing my boxing technique into it and stuff, I feel like with Lyndsey, how this fight's going to go, it's going to be very cagey. I think them first 2 rounds are going to be very nip and tuck, but it's whether or not he can deal with my footwork. Because as much as I've watched him, he's a good lad. But from what I see of him, he does hold his feet a lot. he's a lot slower on his feet than me, and he's a lot slower with his shots. He might pick his shots well, but he's picked them against people that have stood there who are smaller than him, who don't know how to defend. Now he's going to be fighting someone who glides in and out, angles, you know what I mean, who's faster with the shots and hits and can bang a bit. So, yeah, like, he's never fought anyone like me, but I still haven't fought anyone like him either.
To be in terms of like years spent in this game for yourself, you are relatively young. Now implementing that sort of hit and move style that you see in boxing, how easy was it to implement that? Because, like I said, that Knucklemania card, that's what a lot of people associate with bare knuckle, just getting in tight, just hitting in the pocket, just grabbing the back of someone's head and just giving uppercuts. It must be so hard to get that space.
I'm the unique fighter because I boxed amateur. I've had 48 amateur fights, right? I boxed for England a few times and stuff, and I brought my amateur pedigree into bare knuckle. And my first fight I ever done, it was on a BKB show in London in 2019. And I absolutely boxed and battered the life out of this lad and dropped him twice. And it mean that it was in and out, fast shots, slipping, hands down. Mate, I was just like my amateur days, and people are like, shit, if you box like that all the time, no one's going to deal with you because they just want to stand in the pocket. You don't. They get frustrated because they're like, well, why are he standing there? Why are he trying to trade? Why is he picking my head off? And I just got used to it. And it's like I found a niche now. Like, people go, like, why don't you go pro gloved? And it's like, because when I was an amateur and I left amateur boxing, I had 500 followers on Instagram. No one knew of me, mate. And I couldn't sell more than 10 tickets. Fast forward 4 years. I'm 8 fights in. I fought in New York. I'm ranked number 5 in the BKFC rankings. I'm ranked number 1 in Knuckletown rankings. I'm earning probably more money than most professional boxers out there now at like British level. And it's like, I found a niche. I'm good at it. Do you know what I mean? It's not like so many, even like pro boxers can't cross over and adapt to it. I've just adapted really well to it. I found something that I'm good at. And it's exciting, to be fair, to see how far I can go with it now. Because, I mean, you look at the likes of the Mike Perrys and the Chad Mendeses of the world.
Yeah.
He ain't fought, you know what I mean? It could be 12 months off. I'm having a big fight like that in America with a lot of eyes on me. Shocking the world, you know what I mean? Shocking the whole bare knuckle scene and, you know, beating a guy like that. And like I say, like, it's definitely a niche of mine that I've accustomed to really well now. And I'm enjoying it, man.
You mentioned the influencer boxing stuff. You've been working with Ryan Taylor, haven't you? You've been cornering him. I've been seeing that. What's it been like seeing that side of things?
I think, you know what, mate, it's opened my eyes up, and I want to get on it. Like, you know, and I feel like the influencer now, they're starting to cross over, and it's not like former pro glove now, they're starting to get MMA fighters in against like other MMA fighters. And in me being a bare knuckle fighter and not a boxer, glove boxer, makes sense for me to fight like a crossover MMA guy from Bellator or another promotion, like in the background, which I'm pretty like pissed off about, but there's nothing I can do. I actually like agreed to fight a former Bellator fighter on the Floyd Mayweather card this weekend, and it all set in stone. But when it came to it, it was like I was jeopardising my, because if I got caught, that main event going out the window, and Dave would probably, like, you know what I mean, Dave would hit the roof. So it was like, I can't do it. I'm gonna have to just wait my turn. But I think after seeing the fans, like when I went to Ryan's last event against Swarms, when I went and sat in Wembley, compared to when I fought in Wembley, mate, not a seat was empty.
Yeah.
I've never seen the fans were crazy for it. Not for the boxing, but for the people. They were crazy for the influencers. I'm friends with obviously the Hamby brothers and stuff now. You walk around with them like it's constantly, can I pitch? Can I pitch? Like, it's mental. And that's, I think I want to get in that spotlight with them type of people to get that attention and to bring more eyes to my profile in order as a person to be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I've seen him on an influencer card. He's a bare knuckle fighter and stuff, like, do you know what I mean? And I'll have to watch that. Oh my god, like, oh, he's a savage, etc. Like, you can get that by using them cards. And I've spoke to Sauerland, you know, Nissa Sauerland.
Yeah.
And to be fair, like, we were chatting for a while. I showed him Instagram and he followed me and said, look, you know, hopefully, I never know what'll come from it. If look like, you know, could probably try and get you on one card. 100%. So that in my eyes is probably like one of the steps I want to do this year, other than win a BKFC World title also.
It is a really smart business move, and you've seen even Greg Hardy fought on KSI's show, didn't he? And he's just fought bare knuckle this weekend, so it's easy to it seems like it's easy with Bare Knuckle to balance other commitments,
Yeah,
outside of that as well. It seems like they're quite flexible. So
yeah.
it would be really cool to see you do that. But obviously, your eyes firmly set on the world title at Bare Knuckle. Just in terms of that Ryan Taylor thing, obviously the last fight he had the problem with the eye, didn't he?
Yeah.
I've not seen what the problem was, but from your side of it, did you want him to carry on, or because Kane was
I
telling him
think,
carrying on?
mate, so me and Kane are in the corner. Me and Kane are fighters.
Yeah, yeah,
Here's one thing I said to Ryan. Ryan didn't have to carry on fighting because he's got a career and a name outside of boxing.
yeah, yeah,
Boxing's not his sport where he got big. He got big through BMX's videos. He's famous for being Ryan Taylor. He's not famous for being a boxer. So me and Kane are always going to think you should carry on. But that's only because we know if we was in that situation, we could never just pull out. Because if we do pull out, we're only known for fighting. And people are like, oh, he's just a pussy. Like, you're not worth watching. Where Ryan, mate, he could have that many haters about it, but there's still people that like him for what he does and not boxing. So he walks out and he's still got fans. We walk away from a situation like that. And unfortunately, being fighters and being only known for fighting, you walk away as that and it's like, you ain't got the bottle, you've bottled it. It's
yeah,
like, it doesn't matter if your eye hurts, mate. We have to go out like we have to go out on a stretcher
yeah,
for
on the
respect.
shield.
That yeah, you know what I mean? Where Ryan didn't have to take that risk. I think he when he had his doctor scan, I think he'd fractured his eye socket. He reckons he's done it in the slim fight that he didn't know about.
Right.
So obviously he collared it. He hasn't had any sparring for the camp either. So then he collared it and it hurt. And he said it was like proper like playing up. And that was the thing. When Ryan got out the ring, he was like, I'm still getting paid and I'm still Ryan Taylor. If we got out the ring like that, it's like, okay, we're getting paid, but we're never going to get as much money as we can this time because the promoter's now pissed off that we've, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's different. So yeah, I am going to say, yeah, I would have wanted him to carry on, but at the same time, it's his health comes first. And I'm just thinking from my point of view and not Ryan's.
yeah, 100%. I mean, I've seen George Masvidal has got Gamebred FC. He's
Yeah.
got a boxing card. Have you seen the names that are on that? There's some
Yeah.
names, aren't there?
I've already been there. I've already been messaging Dean, the guy that's a matchmaker. I've been trying to get in touch with Gamebred. I think that's another there's so much popping up now, but it all leads to your profile and how popular you are. And this is why now it's like, right, okay, I'm trying to reach out to these companies when I'm in camp. I need to think, right, no, okay, I need to beat Jake Lyndsey in fashion, destroy him, go on, win a world title, and then I'm the cream of the crop. Do you know what I mean? I'm the cream. I'm the king in welterweight. So then when I'm approaching these companies, I'm not approaching them as Conor Tierney, the veteran bare knuckle fighter who's undefeated and he's a rising star. I'm approaching him as Conor Tierney, the welterweight champion of the world in bare knuckle fighting championship, who is a star now. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like that's where the pulling power needs to come from. Me getting these next 2 fights done with massive wins.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Paul Daley's fighting on that card. I'd like to see against Paul Daley. That would make sense.
I called Paul Daley out when I won my BKB world title.
Right.
Yeah, I called him out. I said, if Paul Daley wants to cross over, let's fight. I don't think he would have got back to Paul because I probably weren't that known then. But I'd like to fight Paul Daley.
Yeah.
Paul was going to go BKFC at one point, but I think he pulled out.
That would have been sick. And he still could. He still could because obviously he's retired from MMA now, but he's straight into boxing. So
I won't be surprised if BKFC have another London big card and we see a bigger fighter than Venom, and we also see the likes of Paul Daley and stuff. I know they've approached Liam Harrison, and Liam Harrison's thought about it as well. I mean, there's so many names. You could get Paul Daley and Liam Harrison on a card. I know there's been talks to Derek Chisora. I've spoke to Chisora himself. He'd been approached. You just don't know with Dave Feldman and how much money Triller and that are willing to throw at it, because they only have to take one more stab at Wembley, get a Chisora headline, and Liam Harrison, Paul Daley, myself on the card, and that is an actual sellout. That's selling out, no doubt about it.
100%. It's so exciting, man. Even Anthony Taylor as well for yourself. You talk about you using that to boost your profile. Like he does half of the promoting, like himself for fights, doesn't he? Even the ones you kind of, you expect him not to necessarily win, but he comes away with so much, even with a loss, doesn't he?
I think with Anthony's like I said now, like when I was co-mains and that, I was like Anthony, like running my mouth, being like a bit cocky, a bit extravagant, trying to get the attention on me. Now, main event like this one, I haven't really had to push it and promote it. People I've sold, I haven't done go out for tickets, even though I've done well. I've done over 150 tickets. I've had a lot of people subscribe, ready to watch the app. Like, still going to have thousands of people watching it on all over the country. Still, all over the world. I've got American fans. I've got the whole of the BKFC roster that know about me, that want to see what I'm doing and keeping an eye on me. So for me now, I don't need to promote it. I've just got to put a performance on, and I think it's nice for me not to put the pressure on me in the eyes of the hype what I've done with the previous fights. It's nice to be just left alone, quiet, train, get my weight down, and get my mind fully prepared to fight this kid. You know what I mean?
Obviously, extensive amateur background you've had,
Yeah.
so you know the feeling of pain in combat, right? But
Yeah.
when maybe you look at your toughest fight in bare knuckle, how would you compare the pain after a bare knuckle fight? How long does that face ache for in comparison to a boxing fight? Because they look like Michael Venom Page looked like he'd been in a car crash after that Mike Perry fight.
Yeah, for me, I'm a quick healer. Right, saying touch wood and that for this, but I'm normally about 10 days. I am 10 to 14 days to fully heal with bruises, lumps. Broken hands are never the best. Like, they last for a good 6 weeks, and knuckles and stuff. There's not, for me in glove, mate. There's no pain. There's your black eye and a bit of concussion, but in bare knuckle, mate, it's like cuts that I've only had one in my life, and not a big one. I've only had little tiny, like, sort of, I call them keyhole cuts. I think I had 2. That's it there. So I've been pretty lucky with cuts, pretty lucky with lumps. I've had one fight where my face was disfigured, and that's when I've done 7 rounds of bare knuckle for the world title. And that's probably because I didn't box. I just tried to fight for 7 rounds. I didn't have the paid off because I won, but that's not my style. Like you said, I like to come out unscathed. I like to be on my toes, moving, boxing. And that's what not a lot of bare knuckle fighters do. But the good thing is
go on, mate. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say the good thing is people watch bare knuckle to watch what they see in Knucklemania.
Yeah.
But people are now watching bare knuckle and seeing me, but then also not seeing a runner. People are seeing someone counter, knock people out, box, and look good doing it. And people are like, I like this kid. I like this kid. He's like one of the smoothest operators in there, and he can bang, and he's hurting them, he's cutting them up and destroying them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people haven't grasped yet with bare knuckle. A lot of people that are doing the actual bare knuckle are thinking they've got to fight. They've got to put it on for the fans. That mindset's gone from me. For me, I need to keep a healthy face. Yeah, if I have a bit of damage on my hands, it's a bit of damage. But I need to get out there unscathed, win the fight, take my money, and I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah, 100%. It's like you're part of the evolution of the sport, because as a sport, it is quite young in terms of a mainstream sport. Yeah. It's always been there in the background. People would associate it with Snatch, Brad Pitt, that sort of thing, Mickey One Punch. But it's a legalized, legitimate sport, and that punch and move style that's so good to watch that you do is a rarity, and you're one of the people spearheading that and pushing that. And you're exactly right. I was at that London show, and I heard people going around me saying, "Why is this guy not a boxer?" But soon they won't be saying things like that. They won't.
Yeah, cool.
And when they learn more about you, they'll know that you had that background as well.
I get it all the time. I've had pros message me, "How come you don't go pro?" I've coaches in the gyms, "Why don't you go pro?" I'm like, because, like I said, like, bare knuckles made me. This is my home. This is my niche. I'm good at bare knuckle. I might not be so good at pro gloved because they're 2 different sports. Getting hit bare knuckle and fighting someone bare knuckle is a lot different to fighting pro gloved over 3-minute rounds. So, like I say, it's for me now to try and build up a name. So then if I do want to go into pro gloved, or I do want to go into influencer boxing, it's against a big name, and it's financially going to be, very good for my career.
100%. I'm excited to see how your career develops, and at work you must be treated like the man in there. People must be like, that is like, who knows a bare knuckle fighter at work? Like, if I was at the office, someone would.
Yeah, you think fighter. That, and I think it's got. I mean, they ask me a lot, like, how I'm getting on, but honestly, mate, like, everyone treats me like a normal person. Like, I go out pubs and stuff, and I'm drinking. I've been out to raves, partying. People have stopped me in raves, like, going, are you kind of Tierney, the bare knuckle fighter? And I'm like,
Yeah.
like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, just having a good time. And they're like, oh, you what a fucking legend you are, man. What a lad, what a lad.
Yeah.
And like, do you know what I mean? I'm just not, and like, I try, like, that's like the humble side. I go the blues a lot, like, you know what I mean? I know a lot of the blues lads, and they all say to me, like, one thing everyone loves about you is like, you take your time out to go and still mingle with the people, do you know what I mean? Mingle with the fans, you know, go out with them. You know, you're not up your own arse. You're not like, oh, I'm on my own and I'm doing my own thing. You like to get involved with everyone, and that's one thing I like to do. Is, you know, I like to be real. I'm a realist now, and I've also grown up and I've humbled a lot since for every fight, and I've learnt a lot of lessons. And I feel like now I'm the most maturest, you know, the most maturest and humble I've ever been. But that's through all the fights, all the build-ups, the dramas, the weigh-ins, you know, the hard fights, the knockdowns, when I've been knocked out, when I've knocked people out, to realise to the position I am now, to think, you know what, can calm down, don't have to keep impressing anymore. Everyone's impressed. I can keep promoting myself, jumping on them little bandwagons, keeping in the limelight, and start to try and make a bit of money for myself as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how your career develops, man. Because
Thank you.
you've got everything. You've got the chat. You perform in there, and there's going to be some massive nights ahead in bare knuckle and out of bare knuckle as well, bro. So I really
Yeah,
appreciate
brilliant.
your time, man, and
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
can't wait for the upcoming fight.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can. But now, to be fair, the only thing I can't wait for, mate, is to have a Five Guys milkshake. So,
Yeah, they'll soon
yeah,
be there, mate. Soon be there. And get all that fast food down you after that.
definitely, man, definitely. All right, mate.
Top
Thank you.
man. Appreciate your
All right,
time
see you
always,
later.
mate. Thank you.
Cheers.